Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is, what is personal religion? There is a story, not too long ago, a person went to one of the largest bookstores in Fifth Avenue of New York and asked a clerk about the direction of the section on religion. "I am sorry," said the clerk, "we no longer have a religion section. What you want is either non-fiction or self-improvement." Hopefully this is not true for all the bookstores. Or nowadays bookstores are also dwindling. Here I understand that some of the bookstores are closed. But recently I had been to Portland. And Portland, as you know, it has got the largest bookstore in the world. I do not know whether you have heard about that. Powell's bookstore. This time, of course, I did not visit it, but once I had the opportunity of visiting that bookstore, it continues for one after another buildings. That means probably one full block or 2 blocks maybe, full of books. That means you can walk into, see the books and spend more time in that way. Books are still valued, those who like books. Now regarding the religion, as you understand from this story or short story, that religion is really not very much respected, or people do not like to like the word religion as such. That is the point. Religion is there, but people do not want to use that word. But we need to know that it happens time to time. It has got, especially because of the organized religion, these things happen. So first let us examine what religion has to give. That means pros and cons of religion. What is the positive side that religion has contributed to our humanity or civilization? And what are the negative sides that also we need to know. And from that we need to find out where we stand and how actually we need to utilize the contribution of religion in our personal life. That also we shall explore. So religion has both brought mankind together and divided them over the centuries. If you look to the history of the world, you will see that because of religion, a lot of strife is there. And not only that, that is one aspect which is quite prominent at present, but there are occasions when they united also. That means people came together, and in that way it was helpful. Generally speaking, religious faith is generally on the decline in the Western countries, because we are sitting in the West, so we feel that the influence of religion is really declining. And not only that, among the Western countries, especially in Western Europe, the religion is definitely declining. But in America, the plus point is that though it is declining, but it is not that fast. That means still people believe in a religion. They go to the churches, though it is declining. From time to time we see that church attendance are declining, but still people are adhering to a religion. Now the opinion is divided over the pros and cons of religion. People who are for religion often portray it as something that gives humanity, meaning and purpose. That means we are human beings, so why we are living? That is a great question that is haunting us our present day. We do not know what is the purpose of our life, what we need to do, where we are going. All those questions are very common nowadays. There is no direction if we do not really give thoughts to that. As well as it is something that gives humanity meaning and purpose, as well as providing a moral compass for people to navigate by. Without religion, actually moral life will be useless. Useless in a sense that means we'll have no meaning. Why I should be moral? What is the purpose of pursuing morality? You cannot answer without the help of the religion. As such, you cannot stand alone why you should be moral. You can be immoral also. What is there? I have the liberty. So in that way you can also argue. That is the point. Those who are against religion, however, portray it as an irrational and restrictive force that historically has brought about wars, prejudice and oppression. That is very, very true. That means in the history of the world, in many countries you will see that religion has brought this type of things like wars, oppression. Oppression is very, that means the religion which is practiced by the state or recognized the state, they think that they are superior, and those who are in minority, they are inferior. So in that way, naturally they oppress the minority. In that way it happens. And at present also you will find in many places it is there. Now let us go a little bit into the detail of what are the good things that religion has contributed to us. Religion brings meaning to people's lives. If somebody is following some religion, they know that there is a goal, I am pursuing that. In that way, he is satisfied that I am following something good. Without a sense of meaning, people's lives can seem empty, causing depression, angst, or anxiety. This is common. That means if there is no goal, so people will be what is called a lot of negative thoughts and negative qualities will be acquired. Human beings need some form of motivating force. As Jesus said, man cannot live by bread alone. So just by enjoyment, food and drink and all sorts of entertainments and all those things is not really the end of the what is called life. That means that our life should not end by pursuing them. That is the point. Religion can bring a sense of hope and inspiration to people who otherwise might feel despondent or desperate. So we go to religion, we go to the church, we go to the temple, we go to the mosque and pray. And in that way we revive our hope. Otherwise, actually, we feel desperate. We do not know what we need to do under circumstances when we are really very much disturbed. It happens. Many charities are run by religious organizations, providing essential help to some of the most needy people on the planet. That is also true. That means nowadays, of course, because of the welfare state looks after the people who are in want. That means those who cannot have, those who are disabled, or those who are poor, or those who have bad health. For them, there are provision because it is a welfare state. It is a by principle actually they take care of them. But this is a very recent development. But throughout the history, you will see only religion took care of them. All throughout the history. That otherwise they would have been completely neglected. So they survived because of religion, and that is still going strong. Strong in a sense that means many charities are run by religious institutions, educational, then medical, and also when there is a time of calamities, all those things are there, and that is a part of the contribution of religion. Religion can provide social coherence with people sharing common aims, values, and moral systems. In that way, for socialization also, religion is very helpful. like-minded people get together, they can work together, they share their worries and woes and what is called happiness and all those things. So in that way, it is a very good social force that we cannot deny. Then holy teachings and books such as the Bible, Quran, Vedas contain great wisdom which is beneficial to all mankind and provide useful points of reference. Time to time, if you read these books, just reading actually brings solace to our mind. Schopenhauer has said that, well, when I read these Upanishads, actually I found it so elevating that it is the solace of my life and it is solace of my death. So even a philosopher, that means a great philosopher, respected philosopher, found the solace of life by reading just these scriptures. Then religion has inspired some of the world's greatest art, architecture, writing and sculpture. You will see that in many cities, what to say about the Rome, a lot of architecture, art, writings and all those things have come out of this religion. So these are the interesting last point, that means contribution of religion to our civilization. Then let us see what are the cons, that means what are the negative side, that is also there, that needs to be taken care of. The point is, I believe that when something happens, good or bad, and we have the media, that means media wants attention. Otherwise they will not survive because their circulation will not be there, people will not see that because they survive because of the exposure. To what extent actually they are being looked after or they are being seen, because their ads and all those things will go by that statistics, that is the point. So when something interesting happens, whether it is bad, whether it is good, actually they highlight that and in that way actually they proceed. So in that way, probably religion also has got that bad fate because of the media. Otherwise, good things are always happening through a religion, we cannot really deny. Let us see now what are the cons of religion. Religion has historically been a source of war and conflict between people ever since people started believing in it. So there are many inquisitions, there are what is called religious wars. Even today also you find that in some parts of the world religious wars are going on. Religious people tend to believe that that particular religion is the only correct one and all the other are false. That is the basis because of ignorance, especially in the ancient times, in the historically ancient times, this was quite common because people were not exposed to the thoughts of other parts of the world and they did not have the access of the knowledge. So whatever they are taught, and in that way actually, they are put to this type of what is called destructive ideas. Religion is based on a fallacy that the universe operates according to supernatural rules and forces rather than scientific ones. Stories of miracles and people rising from dead, etc. remain unproven. That means religion has a tendency to believe in miracles. That means you cannot really explain certain things which are happening. So in that way miracles are cited, and when we search we do not find any reason to that. So the belief in this miracle is one aspect of a religion that has given bad name to a religion, you can say. Supernatural. Religions can cause or encourage bigotry against minority groups. That is quite common. That means it is there. Even today you will see that in Burma or in Bangladesh, all those things are still quite, we know that, all those things that are happening. Now, religion discourages free inquiry and restricts freedom of thought. By encouraging the idea that fundamental answers can only be found in a fixed and specific book or belief system, preachers and religious leaders can also encourage a culture of unquestioning loyalty amongst their followers. That is also very true. You follow me, otherwise you go to heaven. That is the point. People will say like that. But that is, nowadays, that of course is not very much preached, if I believe so. But the point is that in that way, they don't encourage questioning amongst the followers. They will try to put out, if some questions are there, you just believe. That is the thing that is encouraged. Religion holds back humanity from progress. When Christian church dominated Western Europe in medieval times, scientific inventions and discoveries almost ground to a standstill. And it was not until the arrival of secularism that things began moving again. Think of the case of Galileo, that means Galileo inquired, was a scientist, so naturally he inquired, found some truths, but he was put into prison by the religious people. That means when then what is called religious administration, if you call it. So that scientific inquiry and all those things were suppressed because of the religion. Religion often uses fear to gain its power, such as threatening people with hell. That means if you don't follow religion, if you don't follow this cult and all those things, you will go to hell. Another aspect is there, which of course is true for all religion. That means all religion will say that you live a controlled life, frugal life, and that can be seen in a negative way also. Some religions discourage people from living their life on earth to the full, which promise that they will get another superior life after they have died. We say that after you get liberation, you will be in the highest bliss. That means that is in that way we teach. The point is that that is true, but it doesn't mean that it has to be looked in that way. What is truth and what has been said, that has been said, but it is up to individual to figure out what it means and whether it will be followed. Religion encourages an unachievable idealism and in the process creates hypocrisy, frustration and disappointment also. High ideal, that means death, lives after lives you have to spend to reach the moksha, that means liberation. So naturally, in the quest of that, you sacrifice so many things of this life. That is also very true. But the point is that that brings frustration and also what is called disappointment. And there are definitely unscrupulous leaders of religion who actually enrich themselves by exploiting the followers. That is not very uncommon in some places. So in that way, there are some negative points, but we have to be cautious and we can really, if we apply judgment, a proper judgment, then actually we can get rid of these things. I shall quote from Swami Vivekananda. He actually knew all those things, and not only that, he was, for one thing actually I can say that he was very much open for the scientific inquiry about religion. Said that the way science actually progresses, or the science actually discovers things, that means experiment, observation and inference. So that is the, in short, the method of science. He has said that you test religion in this way, that means in the way in ancient times, or the people who are following a sincere religion, practicing spirituality, that means yes, you follow what they have been said and find out, observe what results you are getting, and in that way you infer. Put the religion in that test of the way science is tested. And not only that, he has said, if the religion is found something wanting, you just give up religion. That means it is better to get rid of a religion if it cannot stand the test of this science. That he has said. Let me see. Now comes this is Swami Vivekananda's quotation. You know, he has dealt with religion from different aspects, and he has really called what is really useful for us in the what we can really get from the religion for our own benefit, and what we should actually follow. And not only that, in what way actually by following we shall get to a not only better life, that means it may change the civilization also. That means he is very contemporaneous. That means he said all those things, a few years ago, if you call it, in the line of history or in the time of history, in the scale of history. His time is very near to us. That means we are living in the age where Swami Vivekananda actually has lived. It has not changed much. So in that way, what he has said is very much pertinent even today, and probably it will remain pertinent for many, many years to come. So he has said in one place, now comes the question, can religion really accomplish anything? So before relinquishing religion, that means religion, what is called the category of religion has been abolished from the bookstore, you see, as I told you at the beginning. So whether it is appropriate to relinquish religion, that is the point. It brings to man eternal life. It has made man what it is, and what will make of this human animal a god. So otherwise, actually, without religion, actually, we could not have really improved our life or progressed in civilized life. That is the point. Otherwise, we could have remained just an animal. That means eating, drinking, and creating progeny. That will be the end of life. Probably things will be sophisticated in those areas. That's the only thing that we can have. So religion actually brings good things inside from our what is inside us. That is what a religion can do. Take religion from human society, and what will remain? Nothing but a forest of brutes. That we'll see. That means where religion is not really cultivated, or where religion is really vanishing. The men are living just a life of senses only. There is nothing else. They are really controlled by the rules and regulations of the country or laws of the country. That is why they are they are still living in that way. That otherwise they could have proliferated and just wiped out the civilization. That is the point. Sense happiness is not the goal of humanity. Wisdom is the goal of all life. So without religion, actually, we could have been just a creature of senses. That is the point. So we are lifted from the creaturehood, if you call us, animalism, if you call it, because of the religion. We try to think, is there anything superior to what we are getting out of our senses? We find that man enjoys his intellect more than an animal enjoys his senses, and than an animal enjoys its senses. And we see that man enjoys his spiritual nature even more than his rational nature. So the highest wisdom must be this spiritual knowledge. So it is a matter of observation. It is not that Swami Vivekananda did not take the statistics like Pew organization, that they take statistics from the crowdsourcing, that means from the people around. But it is a matter of observation. That means he had that inclination observing the humanity at large. So in that way he says that in general we see that human beings like intellectual enjoyment better than the sensual enjoyment. And amongst the intellectuals actually find those who are spiritual, the spiritual enjoyment is much better than the intellectual enjoyment. So we can conclude, he is saying that we can conclude spiritual enjoyment or spiritual happiness, if you call it, is much more superior to this type of sense and intellectual enjoyments. So where I actually can find that? With this knowledge will come bliss. All these things of this world are but the shadows, the manifestations in the third or the fourth degree of the real knowledge and bliss. K and B in capital. That means what the spiritual knowledge and spiritual bliss can give, that is so superior that the other enjoyments or other happiness or other knowledge that we are getting out of our intellect or our senses are just third or fourth grade. That means it is so inferior, that he is saying. It is a saying from a person who had the opportunity of going through all these stages. As you know, in his life he was a seeker. That means he was not satisfied what he had read, intellectual, if you call it enjoyment, intellectually available. Then actually when he found spirituality and when he experienced that, after that actually he is saying this. So there is a point into his saying. So in this way we see that definitely a religion has its negative side and positive side. But it doesn't mean that you have to throw away religion because it has got, by highlighting the negative side only. So we have to be thoughtful. That means what religion has given, we need to use that for our own benefit. That is the point. So in that way actually religion can be used for our personal development. So naturally we have to be more individualistic in the approach of religion, if you call it. We have to be selective. Because organized religion has got many negative things, but if we are really very selective, so we can really choose, pick and choose. And in that way, we can use the religion for our spiritual progress. And what have been said by the great sages or saints, what they have reached, that we can probably by our experimentation, that means our spiritual practice is nothing but experimentation in the spiritual field, we can say. And in that way, we can find out for ourselves how actually we can use religion. So let us see how, again, Swami Vivekananda has quoted some instances. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell a story. The story is like that, well, you have come to a mango orchard. Here there is no mango orchard, but we have some other orchards like peach orchard or what is called plum orchard, like that. So when you come to an orchard, a vast place, so many trees, so many fruits and all those things, probably the person who is cultivating that, the business person or the farmer who has planted that for him, those things are very important. But the point is that when you come as a visitor, you have to, it will be the most profitable, or you will gain most if you just taste the fruits. That is the point. That means you do not have any necessity, you are not in the business of what is called selling the fruits and all those things, so you need not go to the statistics that is important for the cultivator. So you have come here and you take what is best, that means you enjoy the things. So in that way he has given, in India mango orchards are very common, so he is saying, so leave this counting of the leaves, the twigs, and this note taking to others. That work has its own value in its proper place, but not here in the spiritual realm. Men never become spiritual through such work. You have never once seen a strong spiritual man among these leaf counters. That means those who are really gone through the scriptures or always trying to establish something which is historically true. They are scholars. That means they have their own area of what is called work. But for a person who wants to gain from the religion as such, actually we have to be careful. That means he needs to know what is the best out of this. So that he is pointing out. Religion is the highest aim of man, the highest glory, but it does not require leaf counting. If you want to be a Christian, it is not necessary to know whether Christ was born in Jerusalem or Bethlehem, or just the exact date on which he pronounced the Sermon on the Mount. You only require to feel the Sermon on the Mount. It is not necessary to read 2,000 words on when it was delivered. All this is for the enjoyment of the learned. Let them have it. Say Amen to them. Let us eat the mangoes. So this is the way of utilizing religion for our personal profit. That's the point. We have to eat the mangoes. We have to eat the fruits. So coming to this point, then we shall see how actually we can do that. That is also Swami Vivekananda has said. It is good to follow some great spiritual teachers because they have perceived these things, and if we really follow them, then actually we get the spirit that they have said. That's the point. In that way actually we get inspired. So he is saying, true religion is entirely transcendental. Every being that is in the universe has the potentiality of transcending the senses. Even the little worm will one day transcend the senses and reach God. This is a very strong statement. Strong in a sense that means such a comprehensive statement you will not find in ordinary speeches. So he is saying that even the what is lowest of the low worm, that means we do not consider them to be even a living, just living, somehow living. And to the highest person, that means who have realized God, they have the potential of having the realization, not only that they will realize God, that is a saying. Ultimately they will realize God, that means they will be elevated to the spiritual plane and have the highest knowledge and bliss. It is a matter of time, of course, but the procedure we find in the religion. We have what is called, we have traveled along from one, what is called one good, if you call it, to humanity. Swami Vivekananda incidentally believed in the Darwin's, what is called, theory. That means he believed that we have developed ourselves, that means our body, if you call it, has developed from the worm up to the human level. That means we have come to that through what is called, through ages. So he believed that. That means he, most of the religious people will not believe that, but Swami Vivekananda was very scientific in his attitude, and he said that yes, I do believe what Darwin has said, and we have really evolved from the lowest of the low worm, and we have come to that position of human being. Of course, after coming up and becoming a human being, also we have to proceed further. That is the point. So he is saying, no life will be a failure. There is no such thing as failure in the universe. That is the point. That means you cannot say that we shall not reach God, or we shall not have that knowledge or bliss, even if you are what is called that one crawling on the ground. Then he is saying, it is a corollary, if you can say. With most people, religion is a sort of intellectual ascent and goes no further than a document. I would not call it religion. It is better to be an atheist than to have that sort of religion. So sometimes we feel that we are religious, but we are not serious about it. We go to the church, or occasionally go to the church, probably in Christmas or in the what is called at the time of Easter. That is quite common. That doesn't make a man religious. That is the point. The point is this, that means we have to be very serious. If we want to get benefit of the religion, we have to be selective and serious. Then, man is to become divine by realizing the divine. Idols or temples or churches or books are only the supports, the helps of his spiritual childhood. But on and on he must progress. So we get the direction of spiritual life from the religion. That is the most important thing. And then getting the direction, actually we need to follow ourselves. That means we have to follow our own path. So this is done in different ways that we see. In another place, Swami Vivekananda said, it is good to be born in a church, but it is not good to die in it. That means definitely if you are born in an atmosphere, a religious atmosphere, a family where religion is followed, naturally you will know what is good and what is bad for what is called for living. That means moral, what is immoral, what needs to be followed. That idea from the childhood you will get into your brain. So that is very helpful. But that doesn't mean it should end there. That means you have to strive for the highest that religion has to give. So he is saying it is not good to die in the church. That means just that much knowledge is not really sufficient for a person who is really born in a religious family. Swami Vivekananda has some other brother disciples. They also explored spirituality. So one of them has said, prophets and incarnations who have come and gone have shown us one thing, that we too can become heirs of knowledge and power like themselves. Swami Vivekananda has in one place very democratic saying. That means he has said that if somebody has done something, that means it can, suppose one person, human being, has realized God. So it is incumbent. That means another person will, that means it is law that another person, if he strives in that way, it makes effort in that way, he will also realize God. That means it is just like a law. It is not that it is here, that person was very peculiar, particular, and in that way, it is not like that. Because you are a human being and he was a human being, what a human being has done and can do, you will be able to do that. So in case of spirituality, it is very important statement. That means we have that potential, that is the point we need to believe and we have to have faith in that. Let me repeat this. Prophets and incarnations who have come and gone have shown us one thing, that we too can become heirs of knowledge and power like themselves. What their lives inspired. Swami Vivekananda in one place has said that this world is nothing but the what is called the influence or the teachings of 7 persons who have born. That means only 7 persons. They are eternally ruling this world. So just the incarnations of God. They have shown the things and we are really following that. Other things actually what we are doing, wastage of time from the point of spiritual point. So the knowledge and powers like themselves, if we only have the will. The point is that we are really not very serious. As he has said that we just give consent to religion and in that way we feel that we are religious. But that is not the end of it. We have to have the will to be like them. We have to will the way they have to strive, and we should have the will in which actually they reach the goal. So until and unless we do that, actually it will not, we shall not get the best out of the religion. If we struggle walking the path taken by them, we too will reach that goal one day. So this is the conclusion. That means we have to select, we have to be selective. What are the good things and how actually benefit and what will be the goal. And then actually we have to be assured. That means we need to know that they are very great persons. They come only once in the, what is called in 1,000 years. All those things, if you think, actually it will not work. We have to think that they are human beings. I am also a human being. So if they have reached that, I shall also reach there. So this should be very clear in our mind. Then Swami Shivananda, another direct disciple of, brother disciple of Swami Vivekananda, direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, has said, it is very difficult to make progress in the realm of spirit and spiritual life. That is the point. It is very difficult because first we have to recognize or find out that there is something like spiritual life. We have to segregate religion and spirituality. That is the point. Spiritual life actually is inside ourselves, that means inside individuals. So it is a sort of things which we need to do ourselves. In a collective way actually it can survive, but progress is not that fast. That means it is not possible to progress, you can say, in the collective life. In the first place, it is practically an impossibility with those who do not have any living ideal. That is also true. If you want to enter into the spiritual life, you have to have some ideal in your front. That means, yes, this is a goal, and then actually you can proceed. So if you do not have that, actually it will be not exactly wastage of time. It will take more time until unless you discover that. Fortunately, if they come in touch with an ideal personality, it becomes somewhat easy to make progress. That is another aspect, somehow or other. It is not that it will always happen. If somebody does not have that possibility, it doesn't mean that he will actually stop in his effort. That means he needs to struggle. Otherwise, they can hardly make any progress. That means until and unless an ideal personality is found, actually, it is difficult to progress. Once the ideal of life is determined, one can advance slowly towards that ideal through the grace of God. Of course, everything depends upon God's grace. Of course, this is the point, is that God's grace is what is called another aspect of God's grace. It is self-effort that many this is what is called big question that always bothers us, that whether by making our own effort we shall be able to reach God. But without effort actually we shall not reach God. That is perfectly, that is correct actually. But, so we have to make effort, but God's grace may be questionable, but definitely it will come that the sages and seers have said. So you have to have faith in that. But the point is that without effort you will get God's grace. That is not possible. That is also correct. So in this way we see that we have to, how actually we can create our own personal religion. The direction has been given. We take the religion as it is, select things, and then we find out some person who has really in personal spiritual progression life, and in that way we can find out our own path, and then we make our own effort. So these are the aspects are there in the spiritual life or personal spiritual life that has been said by our teachers. So I'll conclude my talk with Sri Ramakrishna. He has said, this is the message of Sri Ramakrishna to the modern world. Do not care for the doctrines. Do not care for dogmas or sects or churches or temples. They count for little compared with the essence of existence in each man, which is spirituality. And the more this is developed in a man, the more powerful is he for good. Earn that first, acquire that, and criticize no one. For all doctrines and creeds have some good in them. That is also important to know. That means creeds and dogmas actually protect people. Though they are a little stagnant, but still it is protecting them from other, what is called negative forces. That is a shield, you can say. Show by your lives that religion does not mean words or names or sects, but that it means spiritual realization. Only those can understand who have faith. Only those who have attained to spirituality can communicate it to others, can be great teachers of mankind. They alone are the powers of light. So this is the saying of Sri Ramakrishna. So he has inspired us through his teachings and his life to follow our own personal religion, cull religious thoughts from different religions, but we have to make our own effort and reach the goal. Om Madhuvataritāyate Madhaksharanti Sindhavah Madhirna Santoshadhi Madhunakto Nutosasi Madhumat Parthivagang Rajah Madhudaurastana Pita Madhumana Vanaspatihi Madhumagangastu Surjah Ma Dhirgavo Bhavantunah. Om Madhu Madhu Madhu. Sweet by the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us by the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us with the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us with the shining sun. Sweet unto us with the all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.